meeting of the Fauldhouse and Breich Valley Local Area Committee. I'm Councillor Craig Meek and I'm the chair of this committee. The meeting has been broadcast live and a recording will be available afterwards through the Council's website. Today I'm being assisted by Claire Stewart and colleagues from Committee and IT Services. Attendees may join the meeting from another location. Please note everything that's said whilst the microphones are live will be broadcast and recorded. Therefore, members are asked to be polite, respectful and patient. There is more information, including a privacy statement about meter arrangements on the Council's website. Right, so apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. We do not have any apologies today.
Perfect, thank you very much, Anastasia. Any declarations of interest? Nope. And the order of business will just be as per the agenda. Item number 4, confirm draft minutes of the Fauldhouse and Breich Valley Local Area Committee on the 9th of December. Are we happy to agree these? Perfect, thank you. Takes us on to our first item of business, which is a presentation from Stonyburn and Bent's Future Vision Group. And I'd like to welcome Laura McMillan along from that group. The floor is yours.
Hi.
That's you now, thank you. Thanks. I don't know if we've got a presentation there. Right, not a problem. If you bear with us. So, what we'll do is we'll start. We've all got the presentations in our packs, if that's okay. And those of you who maybe don't have it with you would be able to access it online. Laura, are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's grand, thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Laura McMillan. I'm the Project Development Officer at Stonyburn and Bent's Future Vision Group. We were founded in 2012 and we became a SCIO in 2016 and then further a development trust in 2022. The community has got a rich mining history. At the moment our population is 1900. 87% of the village residents rate it as a good place to live, and we're estimating that now with the new home development will be another 300 houses. Our vision is to support the economy, environment and the regeneration of our community, support our community to thrive and inclusive and supportive. Sorry, I was just getting the slides up to date. We're supported by our trustees, colleagues and volunteers who have a wide range of skills and experience. We provide training which is relevant to all our groups and events, which you can see, for example, includes PVGs, dementia-friendly training, first aid and food hygiene. We work in partnership with lots of different people, as you can see from the slide, including West Lothian Food Network, the both community schools and nursery, Stonyburn Juniors, community bowling club, etc. We do a wide variety of community projects. However, I know there's a lot of slides, so I won't talk about all of them, but I would just like to highlight a few and then I'll answer questions at the end if that's okay. So our community larder is open across the 5 days of the week, on a Tuesday and Thursday, and then the rest of the time it's ad hoc. This is to reduce food waste in the community, and we also offer pop-up events offering clothing and household items on an ad hoc basis. And the Warm Hub is open to everyone. They can come in for a blether and a cup of tea and it's free of charge. The larder offers fresh fruit and vegetables, meat, dairy products and other non-perishable items at a low cost. And we have quite a high percentage of the community who use this. Next, I'll point out that we do intergenerational activities. Last year we went on trips to the theatre and to Portobello for a beach trip. This year we've secured further funding and have a year of fun activities and events planned, including our party in the park and a summer afternoon tea. Passing connectivity. This is actually one of our trustees who's the main lead on this, Sandy, so I won't talk too much about that. Our new hiking project is due to take place soon. This is in connection with Connect Outdoors, and myself and Sandy will be leading this, and people will be able to participate in the 7 weeks of hiking. Our newsletter is funded by the group and is distributed throughout the village. It's also available online, and we give it out at our Warm Hub groups and Community Larder. We also additionally contribute to the Fauldhouse and Breich Valley Community Development Trust newsletter. The community groups that we run, we have our Young at Heart programme for the over 50s, our Amigos programme, which focuses on the ages 5 to 14, our Elevate group, which focuses on P7 to S4 age group. Our Care for Carers group supports unpaid carers in the community and provides activities and wellbeing sessions and trips. It's open to everybody. And at night, we've created a once a month evening group session, which allows people and their care for person to come at night. This also includes people who may have other responsibilities during the day, such as caring responsibilities or perhaps work. Falshie Films is our community cinema, where we show a range of films. At the moment, we're running monthly double bills for children and the Young at Heart groups. Our crafting group is a new group which is once a month. It's supported by Wellcan funding, where we've got sewing machines and other crafting activities, and the group are going to learn how to recycle and to make new things. Our men's group is once a month, run by one of our trustees, John. The group has been busy planning trips, and we've had a visit to the men's shed in Armadale, and they've taken part in a trip down memory lane. We also host other community events, such as our Burns's afternoon tea, the Falshie Fun Run, our Easter themed events, litter picking, and our Santa Parade. Throughout the year at our events, we hold small raffles, and these go to supporting other community groups. And part of our environmental, we take part in the village litter picking, the gardening club, looking after the planters and the memorials. We get support from the West Lothian litter pickers, the community payback team, and West Lothian Climate Action Network. We work closely with both schools and the nursery. They take part in some of our events. We attend their parents' evenings and support them with that. They take part in our litter picking and gardening projects. We're working with Adult Learning again this year to provide a DIY course, woodworking course, and maths support sessions for numeracy. They also helped us when we were doing our Guinness World Book of Records challenge with Jamie Oliver during the summer. And then we have a host of additional services, such as pop-up sessions with West Lothian School Bank. We give out free period products. We have drop-in sessions on a monthly basis from the West Lothian Advice Shop, CAB, SP Energy. We do sessions with Caesar and Howie. This year as well, we worked with West Lothian Council and gave out the festive hampers, and Dunelm, the shop in Livingston, to give out festive gifts to those in the community who needed them. We also support and maintain the 2 community defibrillators. You can see our next steps and challenges. We're going to continue to support our current groups with yearly activities, which is indicated by service user feedback. We're going to develop our men's group further. The Elevate group will be working towards achieving their Youth Scotland and Saltire awards. We'll continue to develop and upskill our volunteers, focusing on the lack of community space with a sports hall, scope for community transport possibilities, and focus on the rising costs and funding of core costs. And that's it. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much, Laura. So we'll open up to some questions, please. Councillor Clark.
Thank you. Sometimes it takes a wee while for this to go red. Thanks very much for the presentation. It's a lot of paper, which means you're doing a lot of work, obviously, and that's fantastic to see. But I suppose just finishing on here with the challenges, and I was thinking about all of the stuff that you do. You must rely a lot on volunteers, and I think quite often with these types of organisations, a lot of the work falls upon a small number of people. Do you have that problem? Do you have lots of volunteers, or are you struggling to get volunteers? And if you are, or if you've got lots, what are you doing to try and get those numbers up?
Laura?
We're very lucky that the board all volunteer themselves out with their board responsibilities, and they're always on hand to help out. They lead quite a lot of the stuff themselves. One of them leads the men's group. Sandy leads the environmental alongside John with the gardening and the litter picking and things. We have some dedicated volunteers who help out every day, but we also have ad hoc volunteers who just help out at events. We've actually probably secured about another 4 volunteers just this year. So that's been amazing. And we're continually putting in shouts out on social media and via the voluntary sector Gateway Bathgate, looking for volunteers. So yeah, we're always looking for volunteers.
I was thinking that, with the hopefully temporary closure of the community centre, that's obviously, I would imagine, has put a bit more pressure, maybe good pressure on you guys, because it's maybe brought the attention to everybody in the community of the work that you do. Has that been a problem for you, or is it something you've managed to work around with the management committee?
We've supported the management committee by taking on board a few of their groups, so they are now housed within their hub and activity space. And the management committee themselves have their monthly meetings in our facility. Yeah.
I think it was always going to be a bit of a challenge for the village, but I think they were really lucky to have the vision group there to sort of step in and help out where they can. But certainly not a complete replacement, though. Wouldn't like anybody to think that was the case. Intergenerational activities. You've mentioned that you did a few things. Can you describe a wee bit more what you actually did and how did that work? I mean, I'm assuming that was youngsters going away with the old folks and families maybe across the generations. How did it work?
So last year we had a few activities where it was intergenerational, and we had people from our Young at Heart attend alongside families. And it worked out really well. Everybody was very good at mixing. A lot of groups actually stayed together while on the trips, which was quite nice to see. And through attending these activities, the children then became used to seeing different people and inviting them to join in and asking them to come along and sit with them at things and pointing out to their parents like, oh, this is so-and-so, So it was quite nice to see that and the progression that it had. So we're focusing more on that this year with a lot more kind of family friendly activities and including our Young at Heart groups as well, and open it up to the wider community.
Just get one more wee question then. So looking at the age groups, and you've got your intergenerational, you've got your I can't remember the names, but you've got your youngsters and then your sort of first year to fourth year. I think quite often in communities, sometimes the older teenagers there doesn't seem to be much going on for them. Now I know that's quite likely because it's quite hard to get them to come and do stuff. Is it an area that you've tried to try and engage sort of your maybe 14 to 18-year-olds, or is it just impossible?
Not an area that we've actually tried to actively engaged with at the moment. We focused at first on the P1 to P7, and then through the feedback from the users who were then moving up into the high school, they were saying to us that they would like groups. So that's how we've created the Elevate group, which is P7 to S4. And then some of the groups are adult groups. So I suppose children 16 plus could come to them. For example, the Menders and Makers group. We do have some young people who come to that. But it is something that we are looking to progress into, offering some additional support for that age group, yes.
Thank you very much. So in terms of your community larder, so you're saying it's quite busy. What's the typical kind of footfall for that? Do you know?
Between the community larder across the 5 days, we have roughly maybe about 100 people coming through the door. We have about 133 members of the larder. That's registered users. However, on the ad hoc days when we're doing the neighbourly collections, you don't have to be an active member of the larder with a membership to use the facility to get the free fruit and vegetables that we have that are free. So yeah.
So are people able, how do you get the produce for that? Are people able to donate, or do you have subscriptions with anybody? Or
so people can donate, and we are members of Neighbourly. So we get collections 3 times a week from Aldi and Lidl, where we can go and collect their surplus items from the store, and we give them out free of charge.
Right, no problem, that's grand. So I suppose that kind of neatly takes me on to, does it cost anything but to be a member of the larder?
We don't charge a membership fee. People just have to register with us, and then they buy the items that they need.
Right.
Which is all at low cost.
Perfect, thank you. So on your last slide, you spoke about the next steps and the challenges, and I suppose a lot of the kind of challenges are faced by many third sector organisation. But the last one, unclear funding landscapes. How are you currently funded at the moment?
We're funded through a variety of channels. As you'll be aware, we've got funding from several different organisations, as well as supported by West Lothian Council, Third Sector Community Support Fund at the moment, Robertson Trust,
right.
Foundation Scotland, Youth Scotland are funding our Elevate project at the moment. Yeah.
And do you find it quite challenging, the fact that obviously there's only a limited amount of funders, but obviously quite a lot of third sector organisations all kind of vying for the same fund, or do you not find that a barrier at all?
No, it's quite difficult. Everybody's applying for the same funding. You've just got to hope that your application stands out and that you can achieve the success and get the funding.
Yeah, no, that's great.
It's a piece of string.
Any other questions? Councillor Clark?
Yeah, I forgot this one. I couldn't read my own handwriting to see what was it I was going to ask about, and it was about your hiking project. It just sounds really exciting. I love walking and used to love climbing hills and Munros and all that sort of stuff. Is that the aim of it? Is it to actually start people off maybe in the first week or two doing sort of more gentle walks and aiming to do something a bit bigger? And is it as much as a Munro, or is it, you get more to tell us?
So it's quite exciting. So it will start at the start of the 7 weeks with a basic safety talk and getting kitted out for all your gear for what hill you're hiking. And it will lead on through the weeks to learning all the skills, navigation, for example, and it will end on the 7 weeks with us doing our own expedition, from planning it to actually facilitating the expedition with the participants. And then we should be equipped to go on some small walks by ourselves.
Yeah.
So is your expedition, is that going to be an overnight? Is it camping and such like, or is it just take a bus and go up a hill and come back again?
Actually got that far because the first week hasn't happened yet, where we'll do all the planning and learning in that first week, and then the group themselves will probably decide where their expedition would be. I don't imagine that it would be an overnight. I'm not sure if that's maybe a bit step too far for beginners, but you never know. You can keep an eye on it on our social media.
Councillor Clark.
Yeah, no, it sounds absolutely fantastic. Have you got people signed up already? Is there a lot of folk interested?
So the official promotion starts this week. So hopefully we get a few sign-ups. There's only 12 spaces.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any comments? I'd just like, Councillor Muldoon.
Thanks, Craig. Thank you. And Laura, thanks very much. And it was a good presentation. You weren't nervous at all. It's good to see the work being done by yourself and all the team at the Vision Group. It's been good to see how it's grown from every year and where you are now. Obviously, I'm sure we can do with more premises and bigger premises and more cupboards and so forth. But what you're doing at the moment is absolutely amazing. Also, how you've all stepped in when the groups from the community centre were relocated, and it was amazing to see that happening, obviously because of the volunteers and everybody attends the groups, going to the same group. So it was really, really good to see that. Shout out to Sandy as well. I know you never mentioned the paths, but it's him and his determination to get these paths up and running. And I know we've had one already. He's had one success recently with the bowler's path. So we've got that. And so well done to Sandy and his determination and get him to keep going. As someone who has attended some of the events in the Vision Group, I have to say the number of people that do attend from the village is really, really good. And also the fact that they sort of use other facilities like the bowling club and so forth. And it's good to see everybody coming together. And none of this would have happened without the work of yourself, Ian, Jennifer and the board. So can you take our thanks back to them and good luck going forward. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you very much, Laura, and thanks for coming along today. There isn't really much more I can add to what Kathy's said, but keep up the great work, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here again at a future meeting, just giving us a wee bit more update about where you are and what your future journey looks like. So well done. Thank you.
It was just something, sorry, it was just when we were talking about the relocation in the community centre and the challenges that you have with that, and it's now good to see that we are looking at getting a new facility within the village as well, and there might be been some sort of storage units for you in there. And thanks, Laura.
Thank you. So you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or you're welcome to go. You'll not be judged either way. So, so we'll move on to the next item of business, which is item number 6, the police ward report. And I would like to welcome Kenny Murchison to take us through that report. Welcome, Kenny. That's you live now. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that coming through now? So obviously the report's been sent through for the quarter, obviously given the stats with regards to the call levels for the air in comparison to last year and this year. That's obviously there, but just going in a wee bit more focus on what's been happening specifically. So looking at the main targets, starting off with protecting the most vulnerable. There's been work getting done with regards to banking protocols, protecting people for doorstepping online fraud, and also hitting financial hardship. So there's been 10 occasions where successfully prevented £45,000 from falling in the hands of criminals. Unfortunately, over and above that, there's been 83,000 which has been lost to fraud. So there's been work ongoing to raise awareness of this, and obviously we put things out on social media. We do talks in schools and care homes and people out just to try and raise people's awareness of what's going on and the increasingly clever ways that people are doing to defraud people. When talking about schools, there's been more of a focus now on sort of primary schools and talks, while we still do work in the secondary schools. I think things that we traditionally maybe associate with involving older children, teenagers, are now moving down, particularly with use of social media and having more access to phones and technology. We tend to find things that maybe we focus more on an older age group are now filtering down into the primary schools. So there's been, even with regards to sort of frauds and online transactions, but sharing intimate images, use of online social media, being safe while they're online. We've been doing a lot of inputs with regards to that, keeping people safe online. Just with regards to that, shopliftings as well. There's been two particular shops that have been identified that have been repeatedly hit by shoplifters. So we have community teams have taken them on board. Those crime reports have all sort of been rolled up, and we've been able to target those shoplifters, particularly over the Christmas period. There's been a focus on doing work in the shops and targeting the vis-a-vis offenders. So there's been two main offenders within the sort of Fauldhouse Breich Valley ward that have been identified. They've both been arrested, charged, held in custody, and reports have been submitted. Bail conditions have been put in place to allow a wee bit of protection for the shops. But that's obviously just about detection. There's then work going on with the shops to about prevention. There's been visits done to the shops and crime prevention surveys completed, where hopefully they can improve the safety and security of the shop, things that they can do as well, and also identifying things that we can maybe do if there's patterns that we can identify to deal with these particular offenders, but also sort of help improve things for the shop. That's been quite a focus over the Christmas period, where there tends to be an increase in these things. There's been a lot of work done and targeted patrols and extra patrols done around the shops and around the hotspot areas. There's been getting speed checks done around the hotspot areas as well, so sort of the roundabout Breich, West Calder, Long Ridge roads, where traditionally we get a lot of complaints. There has been targeted speed checks been getting done in those areas. Word tends to get out quite quickly when we are on a spot, be it people sharing it on social media, but we do tend to notice quite quickly when we're within 10-15 minutes quite a change in driver behaviour, and hopefully that then carries on to be, obviously we can't be there all the time, but hopefully the message getting out that we are in these areas, that it does improve driver behaviour. Quite often it'll be stopping cars, they'll be warning about their conduct, but also allows us to pick up other offences that are going on when vehicles as well. We can do insurance checks, MOT checks while we're there as well, to sort of make sure that the roads around these hotspot areas are safer. Particularly around Fauldhouse, there's been a bit of a focus on off-road bikes, but also stolen vehicles as well. I think Fauldhouse has traditionally had an issue with off-road bikes and the sort of areas around it. It does provide challenges just with the open nature of the location. there's been a lot of intelligence work going on, so we can identify the particular areas, the hotspot times, try and identify the certain bikes, get intelligence on where they're going to. That has led to seizures over this period, and will hopefully lead to more. There's ongoing work to build up the sort of intelligence picture of what's going on in these areas, but there's also been recoveries of stolen vehicles stolen from elsewhere, but they have been a pattern in recent months of them ending up in Fauldhouse. That can be a pattern all over, where vehicles are stolen. They tend to be taken to a location where they can be left, and that allows them to identify whether there's trackers in the vehicles, or there's ways of police sort of finding out where they are. So Fauldhouse has been getting used for that, and there has been a number of stolen vehicles recovered within the Fauldhouse area. So there's been work ongoing with regards to that as well.
That's great. Thanks very much, Kenny, for taking us through that report. So I'll just open up to questions. I'm going to kick off with, in terms of some questions here in regards to some of the points in the report. Now, in terms of the banking protocol stuff and protecting the most vulnerable people, so we've identified in the report that there's 10 occasions where the protocol was invoked. And we went on to then say about inquiries revealed over 83,000 had been lost to fraudsters. Is that division-wide, or is this Fauldhouse and Breich Valley? Is it West Lothian? Because the report doesn't necessarily say where. That's you.
That's me. No, it doesn't, but I believe that's particularly to Fauldhouse and Breich Valley. That's the report here, so I think this is specific to the area. Obviously, 10 occasions are, obviously we can get calls in ourselves, but it's also the banks identifying things as they come in, and we'll go and deal with the banks directly, and hopefully get the customers in the banks when they're at the time. So unfortunately it's a very common thing these days. It is all over the country. Money's lost online to money going abroad, but yeah, I think this is specific to the ward area.
Oh, that's grand. Thank you very much. What to do is, if you just keep your mic live, it just saves us having to let you in each time. And in terms of the kind of next paragraph there, what schools have been involved, and what clusters high schools have been involved in terms of the hate crime and the knife crime and the internet safety in the Fauldhouse and Breich Valley? Is it all the schools, or just select?
So it tends to be, we'll offer it out to all the schools. As I say, there's been an increased focus on the primary schools this year, as there tends to be more involvement with younger age groups now. It's been offered around all the schools. At the start of the sort of calendar school year, we did visits out to all the primary schools. We gave our contact details and we asked for specifics, what they were looking for. I know there's certainly been, every school in West Lothian has had domestic abuse input at the higher years within the high school. That's been done in every school across West Lothian, so obviously covering Fauldhouse, Breich Valley as well, but separate to that, yeah, there has been talks around the high schools at West Calder. It's certainly been done there. It's sort of school dependent. They'll have an input into what they think is relevant for their school and what is relevant for different age groups, and we'll work with the school to give them what certainly suits them. So sometimes it's about a certain issue that they've identified which is ongoing at the school, and we'll tailor a talk to fit to that. And obviously we've got our generic talks that we'll do as well, if it's required with regards to things like knife crime and things, but obviously road safety and things as well. We'll work with the schools to do what will suit them, because it's different for each school as what's relevant to them.
Perfect, that's grand, thanks very much. So over the page on page 4, officers continued high visibility patrols and antisocial behaviour hotspots. What communities were they? And also, is that specific to Fauldhouse and Breich Valley? And if it is, what communities within the ward? And also interested to understand what community cafes have benefited from these visits as well.
Yep, so it's been all across. Yeah, this would be specific to Fauldhouse and Breich Valley with regards to these visits. The social hotspots are particularly it's been identified. So there has been a fair bit of work done in Fauldhouse. So obviously that's a hotspot for the off-road bikes that it's talking about, but that then leads to other youth antisocial behaviour. So that has certainly been a target for patrols, but it's all across the area when we tend to go out. It'll be sort of Polbeth and West Calder as well, centred around sort of youth hotspot areas and those areas. That's probably been the main focus of will be Fauldhouse and the sort of Polbeth, West Calder area.
That's grand, thanks very much. It's quite interesting to read as well about the Scottish author Graham Armstrong being involved in terms of going out to schools. What schools was that in specific? Fauldhouse and Breich Valley.
Sorry, what part was that?
So that was under the reducing the violence and antisocial behaviour.
So I don't have specifics on what that's at that time.
Just under the reducing acquisitive crime, in terms of Operation Jackdaw. Now, in terms of the numbers that are cited here, is that division-wide, West Lothian-wide, or Fauldhouse and Breich Valley-wide? Because I know that you touched on that in your preamble, taking us through the report about 2 individuals in the Fauldhouse and Breich Valley area. So these 2 individuals responsible for these 821 reports of shoplifting?
No, that's not specific to like those individuals. So that does been retail crime all across West Lothian, and that was just sort of 2 specific examples within sort of Fauldhouse Breich Valley where we've had 2 repeat offenders that have been targeted locally by community officers. Particularly over the sort of Christmas period where there has been certainly an increase in these things to allow us to sort of get conditions in place to try and reduce their conduct. So I think the stats here, particularly over West, for this part, is over West Lothian, but within that there has been specific work done with Fauldhouse and Breich Valley.
Perfect. And in terms of local shop holders, are we experiencing quite a significant issue in the ward? Or is it more kind of the Livingston Centre or?
I think there can be a mix. Certainly, the centre traditionally is obviously going to be a target for people coming from outside of the West Lothian area to commit these sorts of offences. But I think you're seeing it across the division and locally. Will tend to be more known offenders who will go into like local shops or local supermarkets to commit offences. Obviously outside of the centre, outside the sort of Livingston town centre, people tend not to travel as much to sort of target shops in maybe West Calder and Fauldhouse, but we do have our sort of known offenders, or obviously we've got people who move into there who maybe aren't known to the shopkeepers, but it's about identifying these offenders as well and putting things in place. And we're working with the shopkeepers as well. So it's across the division. It's maybe just slightly different to what it would be at Livingston Centre, where you've got people travelling into the community to commit offences. It tends to be more sort of people living locally.
That's great. Thanks very much, Kenny. And in terms at the bottom of that page, page 4, we talk about the bogus workmen targeting vulnerable people. Where was that about? What community was that?
Well, I believe that was in West Calder. That was work that was getting completed on a roof where obviously the work wasn't required. They've charged a lot of money for what essentially completing not a lot of work. As I say, what I think it says in the report, work's ongoing to identify that person. That's still an ongoing case. But
what would be your best advice to people that are looking to get work undertaken at their homes, in terms of making sure that they're getting somebody that they can be confident in, or that they're not going to be potentially like this person paying out a lot of money and taking advantage of?
Well, so we tend to tell people not to agree to work on the door. Obviously, if people are approaching to offer to do work at the door, then I wouldn't be agreeing to anything at the time. Obviously, it is something that some tradespeople do, but there's obviously schemes like the Trusted Trader scheme where they can look into and find people who've been checked out, do the research on who's doing the work, ask to see what previous work they've done, look for references. Certainly legitimate businesses should be able to supply these things and give you sort of other people who are able to recommend their work. Look for recommendations from families and friends, people who they know have done good work before and can be trusted. Certainly don't be getting pressured into. Quite often that's what happens with these people who come to the door, is they're pressuring you into signing up and agreeing to work, maybe getting you to agree to a small amount of work, and then it leads to further work on. As don't be agreeing to anything too quickly, and make sure you do your research and use legitimate companies or people who are using schemes like the Trusted Trader scheme.
Perfect, thanks very much. Nearly there, honest. And in terms of on page 5, improving road safety, it's fantastic to see that you guys have been out doing the speed checks and stuff like that, because I'm quite sure my colleagues sitting at the table here, I've also got people constantly saying what these issues with speeding, etc. So thanks very much for getting people out. If you're lucky enough not to have had emails from me moaning about it all the time, but certainly in terms of you guys, sort of response vehicles can go out and do speed checks, is that right? And community cops can go out and do that as well?
It tends to be more community officers that will go out and do it. I mean, response vehicles could go out and do it, but it's having the resources and the time to be able to put what is required into it. It'll tend to be community officers, or if we can get other officers involved as well at a time, when we'll go out and do, but we'll tend to sort of try and plan time in for that. There's also, we'll take out the Scotland Young Volunteers, the PSYV, to go out and do work around sort of hotspot areas and schools and things as well. Hopefully having a wee bit more of an impact, getting them to actually speak to the drivers as well, which hopefully hits the message home a bit more. It's not just a police officer, you've actually got a young person putting the message across about road safety and their manner of driving, putting them at risk as well. So we'll plan initiatives around that.
So in terms of when you're doing these speed checks, it's not necessarily about fining people, it's about trying to educate people and getting a change in that behaviour. How many people typically in these areas that you've done them in the Fauldhouse and Breich Valley area, how many people on average are you stopping?
To be honest, it's normally pretty low. We tend not to stop a lot. We'll kind of have that a bit of leeway where if a wee bit over the speed limit, we'll obviously stop and a wee bit of education. Obviously, if it's really excessive, then we'll take the appropriate action, and obviously we'll do checks on the vehicles to make sure they're A, safe on the road, and B, they've got all the proper sort of everything they should have in place with regards to insurances and MOTs. But to be honest, you do notice a change in behaviour even just within a short period of being on a spot. While you might stop two or three quite quickly, word tends to get out when we're in an area, which then you'll notice a very quick change in sort of driving behaviours. Because we're well aware these areas will have ongoing issues. We don't get complaints for no reason. But be it drivers warning other drivers, things being put on social media in spots, you tend to find within a spot, maybe within 10-15 minutes, there's quite a dramatic change in behaviour. Hopefully that then leads to people being in people's mindset that we are there doing checks within that spot, so that means that even when we're not there, people have it in their mind that that's an area the police will be in, or that's an area we'll have to sort of watch watch their speed, watch their manner of driving, and hopefully it'll lead to sort of changes in behaviour. And we also people's attitudes tend to be pretty good when we stop them as well. We tend not to get much arguments about things. People tend to accept the fact that they'll take their warning, and leading to sort of improve road safety.
Perfect, thanks very much. And last but not least for me, you'll be glad to hear, in terms of the comments here, is during November, the Community and Response Officers in partnership with Road Policing, Motorcycle and DVLA carried out a kind of campaign there. Where was that in West Lothian that took place?
So that was centred around Heartlands Junction, I believe. So we had some motorbikes on the sort of motorway, sort of identifying vehicles and actually bringing them off the motorway to have the relevant checks done. And then we could all be sort of centred around Heartlands Junction to deal with any issues that arise, particularly when it comes to sort of the larger vehicles and works vehicles that are out, making sure they're aware of all the regulations, identifying all these problems, and we could all deal with it as a collective.
Certainly a good piece of partnership working, so thanks very much. Councillor Clark.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in a very similar vein. Some years ago, I remember seeing in Breich there was the motorcycle cops were parked up there, and it was part of an experiment apparently, because I'd stopped to talk to them because I'd not long been elected at that time. Thought that's what I should be doing as a councillor, and it was really quite interesting. They were saying that because they were on the motorbikes, they were kind of hidden, so it wasn't that high visibility. Everybody slow down, flash your lights because there's cops there, and it seemed to be working. Did that ever go anywhere? Did they? I mean, I know you're saying that they were part of this event where they took people off the motorways, but I suppose for us, it's what's happening on our streets, our local street. What's important, and I was just wondering if anything had ever come of using these slightly more hidden police officers.
I mean, we try to do. Certainly not with the motorbikes, but we do try and sort of do a mix of things. Obviously, we try and be high profile because it gets the message out. As I say, you notice a change in behaviour quickly when we're in a spot for people knowing that we're there. But we will go out and do some checks that we do will maybe be a bit more hidden, so we can actually pull cars over. Again, word tends to get out. I think it's just the age we live in now that it's not just the days of drivers flashing other drivers to warn you they're there. Posts go out on social media, it gets shared in community groups, and quite quickly people tend to find out that we're in a spot, and it does change behaviour. But we certainly were not always out there just being as visible as possible just to deter. We're also trying to educate as well, and the best way to do that is to actually sort of catch the behaviour, pull people over, at least warn them about their behaviour, and obviously deal with anything we need to deal with. So we'll kind of mix things up where we need to.
So on the table here, when it gives a list of the sort of Q3, 24-25 and 25-26, and where it says housebreaking other premises, what is other premises? Because it's got housebreaking dwelling, housebreaking non-dwelling, and then other premises. What would be an example of another premises?
Without seeing the calls, it's maybe difficult to. So it could be sort of containers. Sort of businesses will use containers, so that's obviously not necessarily business premises, but I know certainly. Just an example of within the ward, I know sort of the Pedal Power shop had issues with bikes being targeted and stolen, and part of that was they had containers as well, which they were using to. So it's obviously it's not a dwelling house. It isn't the actual business itself, but they do have things out with.
That makes sense. Then I was just wondering, I couldn't work that one out at all. With the housebreaking, obviously the numbers, housebreaking dwelling has went up quite considerably. I think previously we were told that quite often when there's a spate of housebreakings, it can be the same person or a couple of people. Has there been any arrests with this, or are we still seeing housebreaking on the rise in the area?
No, there has been arrests made. Certainly, obviously, you think of quite often housebreakings, people will maybe target a particular house if they're after goods, but we do notice an increase in the sort of housebreakings because when it goes to vehicle crime, people they tend to have identified certain vehicles that they're after, and it won't just be they'll go after one vehicle at a time. We often notice a pattern of we'll get 3-4 calls at the same time where people are breaking in to get keys to take cars, and it'll be the same type of car or very similar high-end cars that are being taken. There has certainly been arrests made from that. There has been targeted, but there's also the ongoing work. Like I was talking about with Fauldhouse, where they'll tend to have certain spots that they'll use to take the cars to. So when we're recovering vehicles stolen from Fauldhouse, it tends to be taken from other areas. They'll bring them there and they're hiding them in certain spots and to check whether there's trackers in them or whether there's ways of us finding out where they've been taken to. And then obviously they'll maybe give it a day or two and then they know that it's safe to sort of move on from there. There's obviously the mix of the sort of people hitting certain houses trying to get goods and houses being targeted because they're planning on getting vehicles in house, and that's why we generally encourage people to make sure they're keeping their property as safe as they can, but keeping their keys safe as they can as well, not having them out and obvious, because that tends to be a lot of the house break-ins are they're targeting specific vehicles. It's not even necessarily the things in the house they're after the keys for the vehicles. They know they're going after that house for that specific vehicle, so it's about keeping these things safe as well within the house.
And I suppose if you've made those arrests, then we should see those numbers dropping hopefully until the next lot come along. Just another thing, and I suppose this is a bit of a complaint on behalf of the community councils, and I don't know if it's something that you're able to take back to the powers that be, but and I know that obviously staffing's a problem, but the community councils are really missing not having a presence even once or twice a year at their meetings. And I know that I think it was Adwell and Breich and West Calder are saying that they're quite disappointed not to even have a report. We do point them obviously out this report to them and that they can access this, but I think if it's something that can at all be done, even very occasionally for police to be present at community councils, and I think it makes a difference because that's where you're really getting in touch with the locals who have got a lot of contact in there. So just if that could be brought back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll pass that back. It is something we are trying to work on. There's certainly over recent months we've had a wee bit more resource to in some areas. I'm maybe the wrong person to speak to this because I'm actually one of the community officers for Bathgate and Armadale, and since I've come into job sort of last summer, that's one of the focuses we've been trying to do is give a bit more visits to community council. We've had more resources within Bathgate and Armadale to do that. We've got 4 community officers at the moment, so we've kind of been able to do that, whereas it's just at the moment there's really just the 2 and sort of covering Whitburn, Blackburn and Fauldhouse Breich Valley. So we've been in a fortunate position that way, but I think that's all being reviewed at the moment, so I'll certainly feed that back.
Any other questions? Alan McLaughlin?
Thanks, Chair. Kenny, smashing report. A question about something that's not there. We used to get a note of the amount of road traffic accidents that had taken place in the area. Would it be possible to have that maybe included in the next report, please? Or could you take that message back?
Yeah, I'll take that back and see if that can be included.
Thank you very much.
Reports.
Cheers.
So just also on that, Alan, it's in the next report that we're about to go to is the Scottish Fire and Rescue report. But certainly, it'd be handy being in the police one, but it was just in case you were wondering for today's meeting, it's in that report.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any comments? So for me, I just want to make my usual kind of comment, and these will be fed up listening to me about it, but the report really needs to be more specific to Fauldhouse and the Breich Valley. Even if community councils were to use this as a kind of basis at their meetings, it really doesn't offer any kind of understanding of what it's actually like in West Calder or Adwell or wherever. We need to get more focused on the ward, and I get that you do that going through it, but equally people reading it beforehand hasn't got the opportunity to really scrutinise the activity within the ward. So I would definitely like that to be fed back yet again. And in terms of, I'd just like to say well done in terms of the work that's happening with the off-road bikes. We have had some a good win just recently in trying to target that, and I think it's really important to still obviously get the word out to the community to continue to work with Police Scotland and provide that intelligence that you need to be able to tackle that issue effectively. I have had people contact me recently to actually mention the work that Police Scotland have done, which is actually nice to see, because you only generally hear when people are not happy. So I just wanted to pass that good feedback back, that the community really appreciates the work that's happening with the off-road bikes. And also, I think it's really important to highlight as well, as you had mentioned in your report as well, about the involving the PSYV. It's a great thing for young people to get involved in, and it's great to see that you're obviously involving them in terms of the checks, and again, they're our future, and they are also then setting the standards for their parents and checking them for speeding, etc. So thanks very much. Any other comments? Nope. Are we happy to accept the report? Yep, that's grand. So thank you very much. So that takes us on to item number 7, Scottish Fire and Rescue Service Board report. We've got Jerry Hughes to take us through that report. Welcome, Jerry.
Thanks, Chair. Afternoon, everyone. I'm going to deliver the fire service report for Q3 for the Fauldhouse and Breich Valley area. First of all, it's the summary of the incidents. We had 64 incidents in total in the area. This included 18 fires, 16 non-fire incidents, 27 false alarms. Unfortunately, there were 1 fire fatality in that time, with people receiving first aid or hospital treatment due to non-fire incidents, 6. And we had 13 home fire safety visits in the area, with 3 fire safety audits also carried out. There were no worrying trends, but we will be keeping an eye out on the road traffic collisions that went up from 0 in the last quarter to 5 in the quarter in question. Onto the KPIs. For the breakdown to accidental dwelling fires, we had 5 in the period of time. For the breakdown, 2 were limited to the first ignition, 1 was limited to the room of origin, and 1 was the whole building. And further down we can see the causes of that. Cooking appliances was 1, electrical supply was another, fuel chemical related was 1, naked flame, and then another domestic incident. Accidental dwelling fire casualties, we had one casualty rescued by firefighters, and they received hospital treatment for slight injuries. And obviously we unfortunately had the fire fatality as well. Non-fire casualties, we had 6 in the period. 2 people were rescued by by fire service, and we had a breakdown of their injuries. We were bruising 2, back and neck 1, fracture 1, and not known 1, and other also 1. Deliberate fires in the area were 10 for this period. The causes were grassland, woodlands and crops 4, refuse 4, non-residential 1, and road traffic vehicle being 1 also. Non-domestic fires in the area were 1 for that period of time, and that was a public admin and security and safety building. Unwanted fire alarms in the period of time was 2. 1 was entertainment and cultural building, and the other 1 was a sheltered housing. Road traffic collisions, as I said, in the period were 5, and 4 people received hospital treatment for slight injuries, and 1 for serious injuries. Home fire, as I said, home fire safety visits in that period were 13, and the fire safety audits were done were 3, which included short. Post-fire audit was 2 and 1 consultation. Moving on to the community safety engagement for the area and the wider West Lothian area in some cases. Post-domestic incident response, SFRS continue to promote home fire safety visits with the public and partner agencies targeting those most at risk from fire within communities. Following each domestic incident, the affected household and neighbouring properties are engaged with to offer home fire safety advice. Water safety engagement has taken place in Breich Country Park, and water safety information has been shared with angling associations in the area. In road safety, SFRS supported a carer's rights day at Strathbrock, providing road and home fire safety visit information. Also, road safety engagement has taken place with older people groups across West Lothian, and further engagement is planned for 2026. SFRS continue to support the Risk Factory, where primary age young people from West Lothian are provided with safety education and presented with life-like scenarios to help them manage risk in their day-to-day lives. Station visits during Q3, a number of groups have attended Livingston and Bathgate fire stations to receive fire safety information, including Cub and Scout groups and those with additional support needs. During the period in question was roundabout bonfire night. All schools in the West Lothian area were contacted and offered bonfire and fire safety talks. The community action team worked with Police Scotland colleagues to deliver important safety messaging in the lead up to the 5th of November, visiting 12 secondary schools. Operational personnel visited primary schools across West Lothian. Schools were also provided with fire safety presentations, which could be delivered by teaching staff. Fauldhouse and Breich Valley schools visited West Calder High School, St Kentigern's at Whitburn Academy, Longridge Primary and Stonyburn Primary. Invite questions, please.
Thanks very much, Kenny, for taking us through that report. Oh, sorry, Jerry, for taking us through that report. If you just keep your mic live, and it just saves us having to keep letting you in and out. So certainly. Firstly, in terms of the community safety engagement, other than the bonfire and fireworks stuff, what else has happened in Fauldhouse and the Breich Valley, or has there not been any?
There's a lot of the stuff is invited towards the whole time stations. So there will be groups getting invited from Fauldhouse and Breich Valley. However, the local stations to Fauldhouse and Breich Valley may be a retained station. So then they have to go and do the engagement at a whole time station, either being Bathgate or Livingston.
Okay, and the some of the engagement in terms of road safety and the elderly kind of stuff in terms of going along to various different groups, etc. None of that's listed to say what you do in Fauldhouse and Breich Valley.
Yeah, what I can do, the actual rest of the report is actually tailored towards the area. But the community safety engagement bit is a generic for West Lothian, so that gets used over and over again, you know. So could for the next one go in and do a deep dive into what's happening in Fauldhouse and Breich.
I think it would be good to see that. Yeah. It is good to see the West Lothian wide, but equally it is quite good to see obviously what's actually happening within the ward. Now, I don't know if I'm reading the report correctly, so I'm sure you'll be able to guide me. We've had kind of stubborn issues in terms of fires within Adwell Prison, but by the looks of it, that seems to have dropped quite significantly.
Yep.
Gladly, am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, definitely. As far as I can read from the report, there were no fires or false alarms in Adwell in that period of time.
No, that's good. So obviously that means the work that you guys in the prison are doing together to actually bring that down has obviously worked. So thanks very much. Councillor Clark.
So just on the home safety visits, and I've come off that page because I was way off looking at something else. I think we're down at, is it 13, but from a high of maybe in 2022 of 48. Why are we not doing so many home safety visits? Is it because you're not being asked to do them, or is it sort of resources, or what? Why would we not be doing as many?
During the past year and a half, we've actually changed how we carry out the home fire safety visits. What we're doing now is concentrating in the high risk visits. So back in 2022, anybody that wanted a home fire safety visit could get one. However, you've got to follow in a criteria now, and if you don't meet the criteria, you'll get fire safety information emailed to you relating to however you fall in. But it's only you've got to meet a criteria so we are going to the high risk so we can get value for the home fire safety visit we carry out.
Councillor Clark.
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember there was a gentleman that I thought would really benefit from it. I went to visit him at home and he was a smoker and ashtray was everywhere. And I just thought this man definitely needs some help, and I had to fill in the form for him. And it was a large form needing a lot of information. And eventually I'd got a family member to do it because it was quite difficult to do that. Now I did have another question. I can't remember what it is, so I'll let you off the hook. Thanks.
Any other questions? Any comments? Councillor Clark?
Yeah, just again to say that I think if there was a prize for the best presented paper, it would be this one. It's just got better and better over the years, and it's not a dig to the police or anything like that, but it really is a really easy to read, fantastic presentation and everything. Well, I know that Craig's asking for even more information, but I personally think that this is so easy to read. It's excellent, and I just well done to whoever puts it together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Nope. Are we happy to accept the recommendations in the report? That's grand, thank you. Thanks very much. So that takes us on to item number 8, House and Customer Building Services report, and Gary Stoddart should hopefully be with us online. Welcome, Gary.
Can you hear me okay?
That's you live now, Gary. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks, Chair. The report for Q3 for Housing Customer Building Services to give the local area committee an overview of the activities specific to the Fauldhouse and Breich Valley ward. Income management continues to be one of the main focuses of work to ensure customers are supported to pay their rent and sustain their tenancies. There's a number of methods that we use to maintain the payment of rent and avoid arrears escalating through early communication, regular keeping tenants up to date with their account, offering advice and guidance and relevant referrals, and supporting tenants when they apply for the discretionary housing payment. Appendix 1 sets out the performance details for this quarter. The main points are that for the same reporting period last year, the figure reported this year is a decrease of 119,000. We're also reporting a decrease from the figure last reported. We've also got less cases. A lot of that could be construed to the non-charging weeks over the festive period. We unfortunately had to carry out one eviction over the period, which was the same number for the same period last year. Next section is we deliver on the void letting activity. It's an approach from housing operations, housing need and building services. It's critical to turn the properties round as soon as we can, given that the council declared the housing emergency in summer 2024. Appendix 2 sets out the local ward performance. The main point is that over the period 33 properties were let. We received a further 2 void properties over the same period. We currently have 18 policy void properties. That's made up of 13 which are undergoing upgrades, which kitchens, bathrooms, central heating, capital works, and we've got 5 properties that are being used as a decant. So for the full year to date, 1st of April to the 31st of December, we let 105 properties and received 139 new properties over the piece as well. Appendix 3 sets out the investment in the housing stock. The 5-year capital investment programme from 23-24 to 27-28. That was agreed back in 2023. All the details relating to that are within Appendix 3. Tenant participation team continue to engage, collaborate with tenants across West Lothian, ensure the voices are heard, input and shaping housing. They were involved in the last edition of the Tenants News, which was the winter ready advice which was issued to all the tenants. We're also involved for the rent consultation. We had our 5-year rent strategy of a 3.5 increase for 5 years. So that was November and December, which was sent out to tenants for information. The team have done a full Facebook review to make sure that all the accounts are current, live, and looking to encourage new membership within there. TP team also were involved with the estate walkabout. It's particularly focused on the flatted properties in Fauldhouse. It was stairwell checks, door knocking. They worked with the estate team and they spoke directly with residents regarding some of the issues that were ongoing in the area. Last part of the report relates to the estates team and the Safer Neighbourhood team. Appendix 4 relates to the Safer Neighbourhood team, the estate team. The estate team collaborates with building services regarding the compliance standards, gas, electrical compliance checks. They also address the cleanliness and addressing any health and safety risk present within communal stairwells. The estate team was working with the tenant participation team when they did the walkabout. We've got 39 common stairs within the ward area and the reported 241 stair visits. The details of that are within Appendix 4. Last part with the Safer Neighbourhood team. That's the integral part of the community safety team. Key role to investigate reported incidents of antisocial behaviour, noise nuisance. They work in partnership with Police Scotland, Scottish Fire and Rescue housing teams, other landlords. When necessary, they do call upon other voluntary organisations, including West Lothian Action Group, mental health advisory work at private landlords. Details of the incidents reported are within Appendix 5. So to conclude, income management continues to be a main focus of the work carried out by officers. They aim to process, avoid and let turnover as quickly as they can. Officers within the team support college and building services for our compliance work, and we work in partnership with other community safety partnership members. That concludes the report. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, Gary. Councillor Muldoon.
It's Gary. Gary, my question is in relation to when we talk about partnership working with waste services to improve the recycling and reduce waste. Also in your report, you talked about the flats that you're visiting. I'd like to know more about what we're doing with waste services in relation to visiting properties which have bags, waste, furniture and various things, and what sort of inspections are done there for gardens.
Gary?
Yeah, we're kind of split into two separate teams at the moment. Our estate team will relate more to the common flatted properties. They'll address the issues within the commons there, if there's rubbish dumped in there, or the communal areas on the outside of that. Whereas the officers from the area office, they will deal predominantly with the garden areas of the tenants for more individual garden areas. So the officers within the area team, where they have complaints received about condition of somebody's garden, they'll go out in line with the garden inspection programme, try and engage with the tenant, and they will instigate some of the letters to say that the garden's not acceptable, we need to bring that up. Ultimately, where we've tried to engage and the tenant isn't engaging with that, then we can look for a contractor to have the garden cleared, and the tenant would be recharged for the cost of that. And depending on the severity of the garden, it may well be that that would be considered a breach of their tenancy, so we would also serve a tenancy breach on that particular tenant.
Thanks, Chair. Just to come back in. Gary, on top of the garden inspection programme, sorry, maybe I wasn't clear, it's also houses and properties where there is just rubbish piling up as well, where they're not correctly recycling, they're not putting it out, and we're beginning to see lots of bags outside properties, rubbish bags, furniture and so forth. And I'm just wondering how we deal with that, what we do, what we're doing with waste services to combat that, because that is a number of complaints I'm getting, as you probably know, because I've been emailing you. And I'm also on that, another question I would like to ask is, can we include that in the report? I know we've got estate walkabouts and we talk about flatted areas. I'm just wondering if we could include something in the report in relation to inspections with rubbish that's in properties or outside properties and not being properly recycled, and it just causes friction and so forth with neighbours as well. Thank you.
Gary?
Waste services won't be involved in attending gardens where a tenant has dumped or put a bed, a TV or a bag of rubbish. That would be, the onus on that would be for the officers at the area office to liaise with the tenant to arrange for that to be uplifted. So that would fall within the remit of the housing office for that task. Obviously, within the garden inspection programme, there's more than one visit for that. So we could look to see if we can collate that information to give an idea for the next report, how many garden inspections are actually carried out, that we can break that down just for information. So that should be doable, and look to include that.
That's great. Thanks very much, Gary. And I suppose adding to that, because you'd spoke about the recharging, it'd be good to understand how many we actually recharge on a kind of quarterly basis as well, just so we can get a better kind of understanding of it. Sorry to jump in your question there, Cathy, but I thought we'd just ask for a wee bit of addition there. Councillor Clark, Polly.
Yeah, I'll not say anything about charging for bulky uplifts, but I'll move on anyway to the Safer Neighbourhood update. I'm looking for you in here in the room and I realise you're on my screen. The Safer Neighbourhood update is quite sparse today, and I'm just wondering, is that going to be in the future, or are we going to have the detailed report that we've had previously? Thanks.
Gary?
I'm not sure as to why it seems to be a more condensed than in previous ones, so I would need to take that question back to ask why the information collated from the team is not as informative as it has been in the past. So I can certainly report back to the group after I've been updated on that.
Thank you. So in terms of the estate walkabouts, just to go back to that, are they routinely done, or is it just a reactive basis? Do we proactively go out and do a wee walk around? Because I get you've got to get that balance between, you need your officers to be focused on the rent collection, allocations, etc. But equally, we need our estates to be well managed as well. So I'm just trying to get a better understanding how that works. Is it proactive or reactive?
I think it would be construed as a bit of both. The one that was instigated for the last one, that was through the tenant participation team. They had identified some of the hotspots where we've got issues with the common areas. So in conjunction with the estate team and staff from the area office, the walkabout, there was other partners there as well. But if there is a particular area of concern that anybody feels that could do with a walkabout, then we can happily instigate a meeting of sorts with interested parties to do that. So it's not set in stone that we'll only do a walkabout in particular scenarios for X, Y, and Z. If there's a need or somebody's requesting one, then by all means we would consider to try to arrange that.
That's grand, thanks very much. And then it's just on the last page for me, the ward summary. Again, we're seeing that persistent issue with the improper recycling practices. Are we able to identify the individual or individuals that are actually responsible for it, or not?
Well, this is an area where there has been partnership working with waste services, and it does probably affect more of the communal areas. So if we do identify somebody who has put the wrong rubbish or deliberately dumped rubbish in a particular area, or put the wrong waste in the particular bag, if we're able to identify who that person was, then yeah, enforcement action can be taken for the cost responsible to remedy that. So yeah, the recharge is available to do that as well, but whether we would have sufficient evidence to recharge would be at times neighbours could accuse somebody of doing X, Y, and Z, but without appropriate evidence, it would be difficult to specifically recharge somebody for that. But where we do have evidence, then yes, we can instigate a recharge for that.
That's perfect. Thanks very much, Gary. Any comments, Ms. Muldoon?
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Gary. I just maybe want to be clear here. Maybe I wasn't clear. I wasn't actually talking about bulky uplifts, so I just need to be clear. I'm talking about household rubbish in plastic bags, which is piling up around gardens and houses, and it's not being properly recycled. And it's good to hear that we can arrange your visits and we can get something back into the report. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Cathy. Any other comments? Nope, that's grand. We're happy to accept the recommendations in the report. That's grand. Thanks very much, Gary. So item number 9, the service updates from Nets, Land and Countryside, and welcome to Blair Wright to take us through that report. Thanks, Blair.
Thank you, Chair. This report covers Nets and Land Countryside activity for the period October to December. Ground maintenance, grass cutting finished in mid-October and annual one-off cuts were completed during this period. Weed treatments across soft and hard landscaped areas also finished for the season, with both receiving one weed killing application visit. Hedge cutting has been completed and teams are now carrying out shrub bed maintenance across the ward. Staff also assisted with emergency winter duties. We received 26 ground maintenance inquiries during this period, mostly relating to overhanging vegetation and general site issues. Garden maintenance also concluded at the end of October, with inquiry levels remaining steady and in line with last year. Cleaner Communities teams have continued routine cleansing work, fly tipping removal and assisted with winter maintenance where required. Lukebury and West Calder was cleaned up by our urban cleansing team. In total, 71 inquiries were dealt with abandoned vehicles, dog filing and litter reports making up the majority. Enforcement officers continue to work with vehicle owners to secure compliance and, where necessary, involve the DVLA where vehicles are persistently moved or incorrectly declared as SORN. Community Cleanups, a partnership anti-litter campaign, was launched along the AA01 in collaboration with Keep Scotland Beautiful and neighbouring authorities. The campaign aims to tackle roadside litter through targeted messaging and community awareness. Planning is also taking place for the Spring Clean in 2026. Parks and Woodland, 26 inquiries were inspected, largely tree related. A new 3-year contract has now been awarded to manage ash dieback works. Replanting is underway at Polkemmet Country Park following earlier felling to help ensure long-term woodland sustainability. The Ranger Service carried out patrols following Storm Amy to deal with windblown debris and ensure paths remain safe and accessible. Ecology and biodiversity work has continued, including invasive species management and progress on urban tree planting projects, alongside ongoing support to planning colleagues. At Fauldhouse Park and Fauldhouse, enhancement works have been completed, including the planting of 6,000 daffodil bulbs and 5 silver birch trees. Cemetery operations remain steady with 51 inquiries managed during the period, covering burials, memorial works and general inquiries. Thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Blair. Any questions? Councillor Clark?
So every year, I mean, we all get the complaints about weeds and grass cutting and the grass. And I think last year in particular, I think with the way the rain came and such alike, we had quite long grass for long periods of time at the sides of the roads, etc. I was at a meeting and there was a presentation about how we were going to be encouraging longer grass in certain areas of our open spaces to allow wildlife and bees and such the like. How is that going? Is that progressing this year? And are we likely to see areas that are sort of managed? I don't want to say managed weeds because they're not weeds but there will be longer grass, etc. Is that going well?
At present, we've got areas that are in the report that I've got, it's annual one-off cuts, so they get cut once yearly. We're now going to start going through and mapping up all the areas to make sure that we've got a clear what areas we maintain, and then we've got to start identifying areas that we might be able to leave for areas that you're talking about, and that'll come into place hopefully in 2027.
I'm doing it again, sorry. See, to jump onto that question, so you're saying mapping up areas, is that going to be shared with elected members before it goes live?
That'll be part of the grassland strategy that was passed earlier, the end of December there, I'm sure it was.
Perfect, that's grand. Any other questions? So in terms of the Spring Clean campaign, have we had any further kind of sign-ups that you're aware of for Fauldhouse and Valley?
I know there was
got a couple in the report there.
There's 13 schools have signed up in total. Fauldhouse have took up a number of days for different primary age groups, and St Thomas Primary School in Adderwell's also signed up. I expect more schools to now sign up going forward now that the weather's changing and it's getting closer to spring.
Yep. Perfect, thanks very much. Any other questions? Any question, comment? Question?
Just
Can you go, Polly?
The ash dieback disease, I think, was it the last LAC or the one before, somebody had said that it wasn't quite as bad in the area as what we thought it might have been. Is that still the case? And where are we with all of that? Because I see it says here that there's a 3-year contract has been awarded to the supplier, but yeah.
I'm not too sure for specifics on that. I would need to come back to you with a correct answer, speaking to the right management team.
That's grand, thanks. Is that another question?
Yeah, it was just to say, because I think it used to be included in the report where we were at with it, and I'm just wondering if it had all been done, but because we've now got another 3-year contract, I've just wondered how much work was to be done.
I'll take it back to them and I'll see if we can get more information added in the next reports.
That's grand, thanks very much. Any comments? Nope. Are we happy to accept the recommendations of the report? Thank you. Thanks very much, Blair. So that takes us on to item number 10, proposed Stonyburn to Fauldhouse shared footpath cycle path update. We've got Kenneth Brown to take us through that report. Welcome, Kenneth.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to update the local area committee on the progress of a new shared use footpath and cycleway proposal between Stonyburn and Fauldhouse. Section D2 of the report provides a detailed update on the project, including the rationale behind splitting the proposed project into 2 sections. The report details the work that has been completed to progress the project, including developing a revised path alignment, completing the relevant ecology surveys and reports, and updating the planned bridge crossing. Previous planning application has been withdrawn and a new application will be submitted in January, or was submitted in January 2026. This new design has been reviewed by key stakeholders prior to the submission to minimise the risk of delays as far as possible. It is anticipated timescales for the delivery of the project once the planning application is approved. They're estimated to be in the region of 18 to 24 months to get the appropriate permissions and secure the required land. Once the processes are in progress, an application for Scottish Government funding will be made for this project through the Transport Scotland Active Travel Infrastructure Fund. To conclude, Chair, officers will continue to work with the consultants to progress the design of the footpath and cycleway links between Stonyburn and Fauldhouse. Officers are keen for the project to be progressed. However, the timeline for delivery is dependent on the conclusion of the planning application to allow the required processes detailed in the report to progress. I'll be happy to take questions, or if I can't answer them, I'll take them back to the appropriate team, Chair.
Thanks very much, Kenneth. Any questions? Any comments? I'd just like to say thank you for bringing the report. Again, it kind of probably short notice as such, but I just thought it was important that we had this report coming back to the LAC, just so we can have an official kind of report going back out to the community, and appreciate the work that's obviously undertaken. There has been obviously hiccups along the way, and obviously we're working to overcome them. So thank you, Councillor Clark.
Yeah, I'll just echo that. I mean, I think we've been waiting a long time for this, and hopefully this time it will actually come to fruition. And I think we could probably ask you lots and lots of questions, but I think at this stage it's probably best left where it is. And I'm looking forward to the next time it's presented, and hopefully we'll have lots more questions because we'll know more where we're really at. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Nope. Are we happy to accept the recommendations of the report? Perfect. Kenneth, you're up again for the proposed B7008 Harburn Safety Measures Update for item number 11. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to update the local area committee on the progress of the road safety measures to be implemented on the B7008 at Harburn. Section D2 of the report provides details of the proposed works identified from the Accident Investigation Programme to improve road safety. These include new safety signage, re-establishment of the lining, installation of new road studs, and high-friction surfacing in targeted locations, including either approach to the railway bridge at Harburn. Officers have identified that implementation of these measures whilst the road itself is in poor condition would have been counterproductive. Hence, it's been proposed to complete the resurfacing of the road at the same time. Remaining design documentation will be prepared in the coming weeks for the appointment of a contractor. To conclude, Chair, officers will continue to progress the implementation of the road safety measures on the B7008, including Harburn Bridge, with an anticipated construction start in the summer of 2026. Exact dates cannot be provided at this time until we've appointed a contractor. I'll be happy to take questions, or again take them back to the projects team.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. Any questions? For me, so obviously this has been kicking around since it was identified in the AIP programme, the Accident Investigation and Prevention and Casualty Reduction programme, since 2024. And for the community in Harburn, they're quite rightly a wee bit miffed that it's no done yet. But I get that it's obviously prudent to try and tie it into other works. How confident are we delivering this summer? That's my question.
We're very confident of that. It will get delivered this summer. Thank you.
Will be delivered, right? And that's grand. And it's good to see the amount of work that is already been done. But likewise, obviously what is planned. Alan McLaughlin.
Thanks, Chair. First of all, thanks for the report. There's a couple of typos in it for you. Section D2 is the repairing the road between Fauldhouse and Harburn Bridge. It's West Calder Harburn Bridge, though. If you want to run it to Fauldhouse, we'll be quite happy to see it done. And in the next paragraph, it says it's a junction with the C27. It's with the C24. we're actually very pleased with what's happened so far and the fact that it's going to be coming on. There's a couple of things happened recently. The brand new barrier that we put up to keep cars on the road has been broken twice and hasn't been repaired yet. It's been reported, but there's still repairs to be done. And the chevrons that were put up are getting knocked about as well. So obviously you can't expect to be on the ball all the time, but it would be good to know this is going to happen, because we're combining. I want to combine this with a wee bit of a concern we have about the good news that we're going to be resurfacing the A70 between Harburn Road End and Kirknewton Road End, which means there's going to be a lot more traffic coming down into Harburn and into West Calder doing the rat run. And it would be good if as many of the repairs that were suggested and improvements at the bridge could be done in advance of the anticipated heavy traffic. I know it's going to be lighter nights, but that's not going to stop daft folk driving cars in a silly way. It's no cars that are daft, it's the folk that are driving them. And the other thing was a concern. It's kind of like an elephant in the room, but it's Camelty Wind Farm, which has been proposed to be built up at the junction of the 7008 and the A70 is being progressed as we understand it. The company has been taken over by a Malaysian organisation who are currently surveying a potential route to get the power from their wind farm to Drumcross service station, power station, beg your pardon, hub. They can't go to Lizzie Breich anymore. The likelihood is if it's going to be Drumcross, they're going to come straight down the B7008 not long after you resurface it. Is there any way that some sort of coordination could be done between the different agencies to make sure any mishaps, if that's the right word, are kept to a minimum? I apologise for the whimsical nature of the question, but it's...
So I suppose that it might be difficult for Kenneth to answer that to hear today, but also in terms of linking it into this report. But certainly it could be something that could be taken away and looked at. But Kenneth, on other item?
With my utilities team's hat on. So the wind farm people do come and talk to us quite a long way in advance of putting these cables in, so we are aware that there is a proposal to come from Camilty heading towards Drumcross. It is a long bit of work that any new surfacing that goes down is embargoed, and we would not like letting anybody dig through our new surface. So I think the embargoes are 3 years.
Thank you very much. And on the other points that Alan raised, would you be able to take that back to the team about the barriers and the chevrons as well?
Certainly, I can take that back to the road maintenance team.
That's perfect. Thank you very much. Alan, anything else?
No, thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Any other questions? Any comments? Nope. Happy to note the recommendations of the report. That's grand. So that takes us to item number 12, locality planning, Fauldhouse and the Breich Valley update report. And it's over to yourself, Douglas.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Just an overview of some of the locality planning work that's gone on in the last quarter, and just to pick out some highlights. So within Addywell, both schools, Addywell Primary starting tomorrow, both schools will be successfully implementing credit unions in partnership with Caledonian Credit Union. And within Fauldhouse, just to highlight the Community Sports Hub, which has now been operational for over 12 months and continuing to make positive progress. There are 8 clubs and organisations, including Fauldhouse Community Youth Target and the Galladay Committee, alongside more established sort of sports clubs. And another positive, Customer and Community Services have reintroduced the Customer and Community Services service at Fauldhouse Partnership Centre, initially on a weekly basis on a Wednesday, so residents will be able to meet with members of council staff to report and get support with services. Within Polbeth, the Hub hosted the West Lothian Climate Action Network Circular Economy meeting in January, and from that there's been already some partnership working. We heard from Laura earlier with our presentation, but Polbeth and Stonyburn and Bent's Future Vision Group are looking to see how they can work together on a few things. And we spoke at the last meeting around the community newsletter. So Polbeth Hub were successful with some WellCan, West Lothian Climate Action Network funding, and some support from colleagues in access to employment. And the intention is to get that out by the end of this month, and they're looking at various ways to see which is the most efficient. So there'll be a QR code, there will be copies through doors, and then there's also a version where they'll be asking people to pass it on. So once you've read it, pass it on. And the idea being obviously around sustainability, recycling, and then see which method possibly works best. So we've heard a lot about Stonyburn from Laura, but just to highlight the Healthy Minds Week, again through community regeneration, a number of services will be attending on the 13th of March, including Carers of West Lothian, to highlight what services are available and supports available to residents, not just in the village, but possibly bringing services into the village. And then work to remove and store items for Stonyburn Community Centre has been successfully undertaken. Local groups have been supported by the management committee to utilise some items that probably wouldn't be used, certainly in the short term. And as we'll be aware, the building is now inaccessible to the community, and work started on taking that project forward. Community Council awareness raising. Myself and colleagues in the Community Wealth Building team are raising awareness. There's been social media posts and emails shared asking people within the ward, within Longridge, Polbeth and Stonyburn, to see if they were interested in supporting community councils, and there has been some response, and we'll continue to work and take that forward. Just around the treasure trail in West Calder, it's an innovative project, an opportunity for people. It takes about an hour and a half, 1.5 mile route to walk around. I'm waiting to hear back on, because it does take into a part and area which is possibly currently inaccessible, but I think it's just the building itself. But groups in Polbeth from the Hub and Addywell Pit Stop alongside West Calder High School, Parkhead Primary and Addywell and St Thomas's Primary have been provided with the trails and the information so that people can go and take that on. Just to highlight as well, the Carers of West Lothian, the Memory Information Support Team, they've came to the last meetings in Fauldhouse and Polbeth for the regeneration groups, and they're now working with local partners to take that forward and raise awareness of that service. Finally, just to highlight some funding, the Third Sector Community Support Fund is currently open. That closes on the 22nd of February. 2 organisations in the ward currently receive funding. That's Polbeth Hub and Stonyburn and Bent's Future Vision Group. And myself and other colleagues across the team are supporting applications from groups within the wards to take that forward. And just highlighting the Mental Health and Wellbeing Fund, the 5th year, there's been successful application to 5 groups within the ward, and also 3 within West Lothian for the West Lothian Climate Action Network. So that's just that highlights and updates on some locality planning. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Douglas. Any questions? So, since there's no questions for anybody else, I've got one question, and it's on the CIS and Fauldhouse Partnership Centre. Very, very welcome that that's now back, but I suppose we need people to use it. And what are we doing to try and publicise it and get it out there that so people know it's back? Sure. Thank you.
Apologies, Chair. Yeah, I understand it's been publicised locally, and we do have the next meeting of the Fauldhouse Regeneration Group next week, so I'll raise that with colleagues in Customer and Community Service to see how we can support that. But I know that locally it's been when people have been coming in, and also the space that they've offered up to do it is very visible. It's in the library as well, so and then there'll be social media posts around that as well. So, but we'll speak with the rest of the group to see whether we can do further promotion if necessary, because it'd be interesting to, I think it was only went live last week, to see what the take-up has been.
Perfect, thank you very much. And obviously, speaking to people out and about in Stonyburn, they're very interested in what's happening with their community centre, so it was good to have that in the report. But is there any update on in terms of funding and what the timescale is going to be for that? Claire?
Thank you, Chair. We've applied to the Regeneration Capital Grant Fund for the 26-27 allocation, and to date we've not heard back whether we've been successful or not. The fund is to start on the 1st of April, so we are anticipating to hear back in the next 6 weeks or so.
Perfect, thank you very much. Any other questions? Councillor Clark.
I was just going to ask about Stonyburn as well, but I'll go back to your other question about the CSI, I think it is. Obviously, quite a lot of folk were quite shocked whenever all the services were taken away, and quite a lot of the services that they used to provide didn't really need to have anybody with any real knowledge, because it was basically handing out paperwork applications and things. Do you know if they're going to be looking at allowing things like blue badge applications to be stored behind the reception area? Is that sort of thing going to be reintroduced? Do you happen to know?
I can find out further information, Councillor, from my colleagues in Customer Information Services and feed that back to you.
That's grand, thank you very much. And any comments? No. We're happy to note the recommendations of the report. Thank you. Thank you very much. That takes us on to item number 13, the work plan. Everybody happy? Councillor Clark? It's your life.
Trying to get this up. I can't remember. I did look at it and think. This is now looking different from what I looked at previously. So the dates, have we only got another 2 of these between now and this time next year? Or did I read this somewhere else and got this completely wrong? This now looks different.
I'm not quite sure of your question though.
Yeah, so we've got May 2026 and then...
So that'll be the next meeting, yeah.
And then autumn and winter. So that's 3.
So the new dates are coming next in terms of... And then that'll go to... The new dates are next on the agenda and then that'll go to Council Exec.
Well, that's next on the agenda, so I'm not even at the right part of the... Okay.
That's all right. So we're happy with the work plan, yep. Perfect, thank you. So that takes us on to item number 14, timetable of meetings. So any questions on the timetable of meetings, Councillor Clark?
So this is what I was looking at. I was wondering why it looks so different from when I previously looked. So we do only have 2 more meetings this year, is that right? I always thought we had 4 of these a year, but it's obviously just 3.
Bear with me 2 seconds, just bringing up the... So... Got it clear?
We've got one in May, and then you've got September and December, so 4 a year. So we've approved dates up until the summer recess, and then this is to approve the dates after that for the next year.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
Chair, sorry, if I can come in, it's just to confirm that the local area committee has to approve these dates.
Perfect, that's grand. Any comments on these proposed dates? And lastly, are we happy to approve the timetable of meetings for 26-27? That's grand, thank you very much. So that concludes today's business. Thank you very much for your attendance.
you.